Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the chart guys. This past holiday week, a lot of fear was alleviated in markets. We had the S&P 500 looking back at all-time highs. Silver ended the week with a bang. There's a lot to check in on to see where we stand into our last month of 2025. It's the last couple days of our Black Friday sale. Discounts on membership, indicators, courses. Check out the link in the description of the video. Hope to see you there. All right, just a reminder, now that it's just about to be December, look up wash trading rules, make sure you understand them, and don't put yourself in a tax pickle. All right, S&P 500 is less than 1% from all-time highs. We were watching a number of things from last week's video. Number one, things had shifted on the daily chart. We were aware of that. Number two, we zoomed out and recognized there is nothing bearish at all on the longer-term time frames. I was open to the possibility of heading down to daily oversold conditions. We didn't get there. We went straight up from Friday and closed the week strong. That said, again, right now in this moment, we are 1.4% from all-time highs in the S&P 500 futures. Just got to keep in mind we haven't confirmed a daily uptrend yet in the sense that we're coming straight off the low. So bulls, sooner rather than later, we're looking for daily consolidation. There's a lot of space for a daily higher low to form. And then we need the bulls to confirm a daily uptrend if we're going to look for all-time highs and follow through. And one thing that'll be notable to me is, does hourly oversold mark the daily higher low into continuation? Because we know that the strongest trends, that happens. And so we'll be watching for that. But at the moment, 4-hour uptrend is our guide on futures. We closed the day really strong, this little surge on the half-day holiday Friday. And that's that. So watching for temporary tops, daily higher lows. How much retracement do we see before the daily higher low is set? Can the bulls confirm the daily uptrend back to all-time highs? That's pretty much what we're watching in the week ahead. So there are a couple of setups that I am watching bearish on, but we'll touch on that in just a moment. NASDAQ has a little bit further to go before we get to the all-time high. And we are maybe 4% away from that. And the reason the S&P 500 is closer, healthcare strong, financial strong, 3.6% away. So again, same thing, still got to confirm a daily uptrend. And remember, zoomed out, one of the big check marks for bears, okay, bears confirmed the daily downtrend. The next big check mark that they needed was confirming a weekly downtrend. And so we would have to see the bears completely take back over if we're going to set a weekly lower high and lower low. I don't think that's the most likely scenario, but if we were to see daily consolidation begin this coming week and we retrace 50% plus of this move, we're then going to be talking about that possibility. So again, a lot of the information that I'm going to get this coming week is what does daily consolidation look like in terms of retracement. And what's been going on with the NASDAQ under the hood is a lot of rotation between some of the major names. There are periods in the market where all the major names are doing the same thing, just to varying degrees. And recently, this year, again, a lot of shuffling going on. Let me show you what I mean. So again, when we divide a chart, Apple divided by QQQ, it shows us relative strength or weakness compared to the ETF. August 4th was a turning point. The week of August 4th was a turning point for rotation, where if we go back and look, we can see Apple divided by QQQ, weekly chart, back on August 4th. Everything shifted. We were relatively weaker the majority of the year. No, maybe not the majority of the year. We were relatively weaker for 4 months beforehand. That week changed everything, and Apple has been seeing relative strength for 4 months from that pivot point of August 4th. Go to Google. Google divided by QQQ. It was already gaining some strength, but it really ramped things up from August 4th until now. Massive relative strength in Google. I've been talking about the rotation out of NVDA into Google. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. So Google and Apple have seen significant rotation and relative strength the last 4 months. Look at Microsoft, August 4th. What happened? Everything pivoted. Everything shifted. Relative strength beforehand to relative weakness. They're just taking turns. And again, if you're a bigger picture bull, that's exactly what you want to see. That kind of rotation. During this relative strength, this is when Apple was weak. This weakness is when Apple was strong. August 4th, notable shift. And then the other one here, Meta. We know Meta's been weak on earnings. Here is August 4th, literally the high of relative strength and nothing but relative weakness since then, aside from this past week. So zoomed out, we had periods, these little 4-month periods of just this rotation of relative strength and weakness. So the way I'm viewing things right now is Apple and Google over here, Microsoft and Microsoft and Meta over here, trying to see the weakness shifting into relative strength. Amazon's not really clear either way. It doesn't fit as well. It's been chopping around, in equilibrium, not as glaring. Those are my YouTube comments. So the question for me is, are we about to see Microsoft and Meta gain? Let's zoom out. 3-month time frame. This is a long-term key relative strength. Let's go monthly. So this is the low of Microsoft divided by QQQ. And I'm wondering, are we about to see rotation back to just get an equilibrium, a tightening range? And looking at Meta divided by QQQ, again, same thing. So the shift is underway this past week. Does that shift continue? Are we going to look back after January 2026 and say, see, this is where the rotation was taking place into these names and out of these names? The relationship between Google and NVDA has been very fascinating. I love watching these correlations. It's like I'm such a nerd for them. I just imagine, a chemist being a nerd with their microscope. That's what I feel like when I'm watching. And it's exhilarating when you find the clues that are helpful for trading, where Google divided by NVDA on the monthly time frame just saw the biggest shift this past month. This past month, we're now at 1.5 year highs. NVDA, of course, has been eating Google's lunch for a very long time, and a little short-term shift is underway. Buffett buying Google has something to do with that. Google, we're going to look for a daily high or low. I'm patiently waiting for first hourly oversold conditions. Google hasn't hit hourly oversold in weeks. So I'm watching, can hourly oversold mark a daily high or low? We saw rotation into Google. Big day. It was just glaring each day. Started the week looking for it. Google was up 6% on Monday. And you look at NVDA on Monday, we were down. Nope. We were flat for a while. We were down part of the day. But if you're up 6% here and you're flat, there's significant rotation going on. And then we saw it go back the other way. We saw NVDA start a daily bounce. And as NVDA started the daily bounce, Google started daily consolidation. So they've had this inverse relationship. It's going to fade. It's not going to stick around as glaring as this past week for a long period of time. But recognizing those clues can just give you a lean. Okay, I'm going to look. If I'm looking long today on the NASDAQ, I'm looking Google. If I'm looking short today on the NASDAQ, I'm looking NVDA, and then vice versa. So those are two things that I'm watching. The Google NVDA relationship, and then these other major individual names relationships relative to the NASDAQ. Okay, so that's us zoomed into the NASDAQ. Let's zoom out now. Semiconductors, major part of the NASDAQ, big bounce as well, but also not as close to that all-time high. That all-time high is 5.8% away. We have to confirm a daily trend change here to try and follow through from that. While NVDA has been consolidating, other names, MU, nice bounce. But again, equilibrium is the most likely scenario here. It's worth keeping an eye out for an MU daily lower high and then a higher low to tighten up this range. AMD, a little bit weaker. So big tech and semiconductors taking a little bit of a backseat. One of the theses we've had in these videos is, are we going to see rotation into healthcare Q4 2025? The answer is glaringly yes. That's definitely what we saw. XLV has just been extremely strong, most notably in November here, getting this big leg up. And XLV is now talking all-time highs. And we actually came within pretty much 1% this past week. Zooming into the daily consolidation began to end this past week. A lot of space for a daily high or low. LLY has been leading the way. I've just walked up a swing position stop. LLY was a beauty. We talked about this a long time ago. But again, it's a thesis. Okay, 3 month. We're looking for a 3 month higher low. Rad EMA 12. Same thing. You know, you're looking on the daily or the weekly chart for LLY, and you're zoomed in here. That's bearish. Oh my God, so bearish. Zoom out. 3 month time frame. Is there anything bearish about this chart? No, not at all. Not even close. You can't go straight up forever. As long as the consolidation retracement on the long-term time frames is healthy, it's the same thing that helped me find the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 3 month higher lows at the end of the 2022 bear market. So there's LLY. Okay, 3 month higher low is the most likely scenario. We zoomed in. We had the 2 week falling wedge. I ended up making a bullish entry, a small starter. I believe it was the break of the upper 700s. Never got the ad that I wanted. So that was one that in hindsight, in terms of missed opportunity, short in quantum and adding long to LLY are my biggest missed opportunities of 2025. But LLY, massive bull. UNH, scouting a daily inverse head and shoulders. UNH monthly, what's the most likely scenario? A monthly higher low. All right, let's zoom in. What would be a bullish pattern indicating to us that the monthly higher low is shaping up? Well, this was a nice big bounce, but it's a stair step, and we're still in a downtrend. We've got to pull back, set a higher low, and confirm a daily uptrend as the first baby step towards a monthly higher low being set. So we're going to be scouting a UNH daily higher low to be looking for a long entry later this week or who knows when. So XLV, all bull. XBI, all bull. Just EMA 12 rider the last couple of weeks, just straight up. I mean, this move is extremely impressive. We're approaching 100% from this low, 85% from the April low, and just straight up. This will eventually top, and we'll see rotation and a shift, but it's not here yet. Speaking of which, one of the places I am looking short. So I said on Friday, I saw Meta had relative strength on Friday. I saw the NASDAQ was still all bull, and I just laid out a simple statement. If Meta gaps up on Monday, I'm scouting short for daily consolidation. And we'll see if we get it. And I won't just be scaling in short. I'll be making a statement where that's either the high or I'm wrong. Maybe it takes 5 minutes of trading Monday morning. Maybe it takes 25 minutes. Maybe the bulls keep control and I stop out. We'll see. But Meta formed a nice base of support and has a nice oversold bounce going, but we haven't confirmed a clear daily uptrend yet. So if we see a gap up open on Monday, we're going to be a bit extended on some of these shorter term time frames. And I know that at the least, I can look for some hourly consolidation. Let's just say we open at 650. I can watch for just, even if it's an hourly healthy pullback to 644, that allows me to position. Sell a third, stop over the high. I either nail the top or I stop out with break even or small loss. And again, that's laying out the trade in advance. Same thing I did with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's either going to hit the daily super stack and then I am going to enter long, or it's not and I'm not going to enter long. And so we hit that super stack. I entered long and it's going well. But it's important to lay out that ideal scenario in advance and then be picky. I'm not going to enter if you don't give me exactly what I want. What about missed opportunities? Well, if you trade the markets long enough, you know there's 10,000 opportunities. They're never ending, and that's not a problem. XLF. So we ended last week saying XLF has not been choosing a team. It's been on the fence, but it's close to joining Team Bear. And it's all about this neckline back here. We broke the right neckline of this potential 2-week head and shoulders. We didn't break the left neckline. We were testing it, and we had an inside bar last Friday. And so we were saying, all right, this is the support. Are we about to join Team Bear? And Bull said, no, not at all. We had 2 daily inside bars, and then we just went straight up with an extremely healthy hold of support. So we have a resistance zone approaching. Again, same thing. We don't have a clear daily uptrend. If we fail this resistance, we're going to look for a pullback. We're going to look for a daily higher low. As far as I'm concerned, my view of the financial sector is, yes, we held support, but we are still range bound. So it was a sigh of relief for the bulls, but we're not back on team bull yet. We need all-time highs for that to be the case. We can just draw our trenches here. Here's a long-term support trench. Here's a longer-term resistance trench. And we're still in the middle of it. We're closer to resistance than support because of this past week's bounce. But it's just bulls' backs were against the wall. And now they have breathing room. But it's still not glaringly bullish yet. So still proving to be done there. Tesla. Weekly inside bar broke bull just to end this past week. I'm keeping a bull lean on Tesla as long as a monthly cup and handle is possible. And if we want to make a simple statement, we can say if 382 is support, a monthly cup and handle is in play. If that level breaks from here, it'll be way less probable. And I'll then take it off my radar. But if that level holds, this is definitely the setup. Obviously, the NASDAQ will have to be back at all-time highs. We'll have to have another wave of bull confidence, but it is worth paying attention to. Got a little double bottom at support. Just got over 429 resistance. Again, same thing. Bulls will have to, confirm an uptrend and keep some control here, but I have a bull lean on Tesla as long as that low is support. If we lose it, we're then going to look for a monthly equilibrium, which we've been talking about for a while. It took forever. I was watching for it to potentially shape up here, but big bull move, big pullback. Again, just a monthly stair step, a higher low every single month for 6 months. We set a lower high. If we get another leg down, monthly equilibrium watch. If we don't, it's a monthly bull flag. Quantum had a nice bounce. We ended last week with a daily bear flag confirming and no follow through. And we bounced with the NASDAQ all week. So at this point, again, just these names are so volatile that even fairly weak bounces can be 30, 50%. So I'm watching a key resistance zone on IONQ. If we reject from this resistance, we'll be looking for, again, another potential daily inverse head and shoulders, just like UNH. Setup is there. Burdens on bulls. But we know bigger picture, we're going to be scouting weekly lower highs. If I'm bearish quantum, I'm patiently waiting for a weekly lower high. We just dropped 50 to 60% in the sector, weekly stair-step drop. We know a bounce is going to happen. We know eventually we'll set a weekly lower high. So if I'm looking from a swing trade perspective, I'm patiently waiting to say that's the weekly lower high where I'm wrong and look for that entry. So I'd like to see the quantum bulls confirm a daily uptrend, bounce for a few weeks, and then we keep an eye out for that lower high. RGTI and QBTS, a little bit weaker, but again, same setup. That daily lower high resistance is in play. We got real tight. We've got pretty much 3 daily inside bars on RGTI. So I know volume and volatility is going to uptick on Monday. QBTS, same thing, pretty sideways for 3 days. Daily still in a downtrend. We have to confirm a daily uptrend, then we zoom out and we scout an eventual weekly lower high from the bear side. But I got a little bull lean until that weekly bounce gets going, and we're watching for the daily trend changes to shape up. OKLO, probably in the same boat. Yeah, weekly stair-step drop, inside bar. Can the bulls shift momentum? Even the rare earth names. So MP, rare earth leader. Monster run up on the China news, monster dump on the China news. We're looking for a monthly higher low on MP. And bulls are trading sideways. If we can get over this double top at 66, monthly higher low is set. The junkers, we call them, just because they're low cap, way more volatile. CRML, weekly inside bar. Again, 70 whatever percent drop from the highs. We are looking for something like this. Even a weekly bear flag bounce is 50% on a name like this. USAR, weekly stair step, just massive volatility. We run up in 6 weeks, 230%, and then over another 6 weeks or whatever, we drop 74%, and even a bear flag bounce from that low is 40 to 50%. So we're watching for that shift in the rare earths. They had relative strength on Friday. Let's see if we can break the downtrend. So I'm in my brain, I'm compartmentalizing, okay, names that were euphoria bulls, have pulled back massively on the weekly in a stair step, and are looking for a weekly bounce. Quantum, OKLO, rare earth, LAC, lithium, a little bit stronger. Nice close Friday, same deal. Monster move up, monster pullback, weekly bounces underway. Eventually we scout the weekly lower high. Again, the most likely scenario, the vast majority of the time when you see this kind of volatility in both directions, you scout the equilibrium in the tightening range. We did that with quantum way back here. Way back here. So RGTI, monster move up, monster pullback, lower high, higher low, lower high. We just tightened up for months. I'm looking for a version of that to take place into Q1 2026. So those names are all in a certain category in my brain, and watching for the bulls to try and follow through that weekly bounce this coming week. Obviously, the NASDAQ is a big impact there. All right, let's talk silver. Dollar first. So dollar is rejecting from this key weekly resistance. Look at this top, 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 top. 4 tops. Whenever I see that, is that a convincing rejection? Well, if we're still holding this support, we're keeping resistance in play. Lose that support, it's a very glaring rejection, and bears follow through. So there is still bear proving to be done. There's a line in the sand of resistance, but we do still have support to keep the resistance in play. If the metals are going to see another glaring leg up, which silver's already doing, they definitely want to see the dollar break that support and convincingly reject from this low 100 level. Gold, what's been the statement all year? I've literally said this 47 times. If weekly EMA 12 is support, the bulls have full control. Didn't even test it. Weekly bull flag in play. Big move up, little bit of a pullback, not a significant retracement. We tightened up as anticipated for a while. 2-day time frame, again, after that kind of volatility, you tighten up. The big question to start this week, does gold reject from this resistance and keep tightening up, or do we break and follow silver? We've got our higher low, higher low. We're just watching supports. If you're a bull of either gold or silver, you definitely want to see gold join. Silver putting on an absolute show. There was the drama of, CME futures Friday morning were halted because of an overheated data center or whatever. That was a bit odd, but people, conspiracy theories, they're doing this because silver's about to break out. Well, bulls rushed on silver as soon as we reopened again. Weekly EMA 12 support and just beast mode. So this is the kind of environment to scout laggards. Silver is clearly bullish and has been for a while. You're scouting the laggards in silver miners. GDXJ is behind a little bit just because we haven't broken to a new high yet. SILJ behind a bit. Weekly equilibrium breaking bull, but hasn't broken the high yet. So this weekend, there's a lot of traders out there that are sifting through silver miner charts, micro cap, low cap, whatever, trying to find the laggard surges to this silver move. Silver is on back burner watch. We're going to look for 5-minute oversold to mark an hourly high or low. We're going to look for hourly oversold to mark a daily high or low. Silver is my second largest position in my IRA after my SPY long-term no touch. I have added back, again, quick recap, sold half here, added back a quarter or half of that half here, and I haven't added back the other half yet. If we get to 59, that's essentially like I didn't do anything and never sold any of the positions. So I was on the verge of buying some on Friday. I held off, but I do need to add back a little bit more silver, and I will be looking for a 4-hour higher low to do so. Again, not going to be too picky with it. I was picky Friday. Because again, if I buy at 58.50, I'm still a little bit better off. And I just don't want to get into a position where it's, I shouldn't have done anything, should have just let it ride. Because again, this is a long-term position. I will have some silver into either a blow-off top where I'm scaling out to $70, $80, whatever, or when we lose monthly EMA 12. And I will potentially ladder up and add size to this. If I get a spot, this is where my day trading combines with my swing trading. If I get a day trading spot where I'm playing an hourly back burner, hourly oversold bounce, and I sell half and my break even is under the low at that point, then I will increase my swing position size, have a closer stop on my newer position, and try and size up in that way. Could things get nutty? What is my target? People always ask me for targets. People love the price predictions. I have no target. I have no price prediction. I have no idea where we're going. I will recognize when things are shifting. I will recognize red flags. I will take some profit if that happens, but otherwise I'll just let it go. Could silver be $87 in 6 months? Why not? I don't know. Could we break 100 in 2028? I don't know. Why not? Could this be the top in 2 weeks? Sure, absolutely. I'm a reactive trader, not a predictive trader. Oil. This is a good one to observe even if you're not trading oil, and I'm not trading oil, but this is a good one for the relationships of the time frames. Monthly, high or low is the most likely scenario for me, and anything above 49.49 is a monthly high or low. Okay, what do we need for a monthly high or low to be set? We need a weekly trend change to the bulls, and then we're going to scout a monthly low or high, but one step at a time. We need a weekly trend change to the bulls. All right, let's go to the weekly. How are we looking here? What would be a weekly trend change setup? All right, we got to hold this low of 55.91, and we got to break 62.54 to confirm a weekly uptrend. Okay, so we got to set a weekly high or low to have a chance at that. What do we need for a weekly high or low? We need a daily trend change to the bulls. All right, let's zoom in. Daily downtrend, nice and clear. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Are we about to form another lower high? Potentially, big upper wick on Friday. We must confirm a daily trend change to bulls for the weekly high or low. We must confirm a weekly trend change to bulls for a monthly high or low. That's it. That's how the time frames relate. So we watch one at a time. Can that shape up? Burdens on bulls on the daily, and we'll take it from there. Natural gas, nice strong close to end the week. Longer term bottom has been set. Bear break with zero follow through. Helped mark that bottom. Weekly bear flag, no follow through. UNG, a little bit different looking. Look at this daily. So UNG confirmed a downtrend with no follow through. Why didn't the silver futures do that? UNG is based, I haven't looked recently. Look at the holdings of UNG. It's based on different contracts, if my memory serves me correct. So it's not a one-for-one correlation with what natural gas futures are doing, the most current contract. But remember that level from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. If this level holds, we don't got to worry about a megaphone. If this level breaks, we got to worry about a megaphone. We came right down, we hold the support, and now we're back up looking at resistance. So bulls are firming their control still. Previous resistance, back testing and holding as support. We're going to look for a monthly lower high eventually, but bulls do still have control of the bounce at this point. All right, that's where we stand. Silver bulls remain a top watch. Definitely going to be open to day trading it. Back burners. Trying to add to positions. Watching Meta if we gap up for potential short-term short, then a daily high or low. Watching some inverse head and shoulders on Quantum, UNH. Watching the bulls futures charts. What does consolidation retracement look like? Does hourly oversold mark a daily high or low? Can bulls confirm the daily uptrend and have us back at all-time highs? Watching the rotation between the major names. Is it time for Microsoft and Google to see rotation after Apple and... Nope. Is it time for Microsoft and Meta to see rotation after Apple and Google have been benefiting for the last 4 months? How's the relationship between Google and NVDA continue to evolve? Do they remain inverse or does that shift? Financial sector, got to choose a team. Still in the middle of its range. All those things to keep our pulse on the market. Appreciate you watching. Hope you had a good, happy Thanksgiving. Wash sales for December. Let's end the year on a good note. See you soon. Do good things. Usually every spring I do a big hole. Well, every other year I'll do a big load of mulch. But it's not as accessible to get a big dump truck back here since Hurricane Helene. So I just took up all the chopped leaves from the yard and I'm mulching with that. This is like 4 inches thick. bunch of stuff's going to grow up through it, but it's also going to make some pretty good soil around the beds as we go. I'm going to do milkweed in these 2 beds, which are perennials, so they'll keep coming back every year. Going to give that to the butterflies. And then we've got the garlic popping up. Shut up.